All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're exploring some really big ideas from a work called Reflections on a Re-encrypted Existence. And let me just say up front, this isn't about finding easy answers. Nope, this is about looking at the huge, fundamental questions about our reality. The ones that feel more relevant now than ever, and really learning to appreciate the mystery of it all.
And this right here, this single idea is pretty much the foundation for everything we're going to talk about. It's this idea that the real journey, the real adventure, starts when we stop accepting the simple, packaged answers and instead find the courage to just live inside the question itself.
So, that's our mission today. We're going to take our most basic, fundamental assumptions about time, about reality, heck, even about our own consciousness, and we're going to poke at them and see if they actually hold up. So, you might want to take a deep breath because we are about to question, well, pretty much everything. Think of this as a guided tour through a landscape of some seriously profound questions. We're not racing towards some final destination, some ultimate truth. We're just walking the path together, exploring the view from each new angle, one big question at a time.
Okay, so let's start with something we feel every single second of our lives, but honestly, we understand almost nothing about: time. We feel it flowing, right? We measure it, but what is it? Is it actually part of the fabric of the universe, or is it something else entirely?
So let's break this down. On the left, you've got our gut feeling. Time is this steady river flowing in one direction, the same for you as it is for me. But then there's physics. And physics tells a completely different and frankly bizarre story. Einstein showed us that time is relative. It can literally stretch and shrink depending on how fast you're moving or how close you are to a massive object. It means there's no single universal now. The universe's clock isn't synchronized at all.
And if you think that's strange, hold on, because it gets so much weirder when you zoom all the way down to the quantum level. In that tiny, fuzzy world of particles, time, well, it almost disappears from the equations. In some of the most fundamental descriptions of reality, time just isn't a necessary ingredient. It's treated like an outsider, not a key player on the team.
This leads us to a really radical idea. What if time isn't a feature of the universe out there at all? What if it's a piece of software our brains invented, a tool we evolved simply to organize the flow of events? Our brain doesn't actually record time, it just records change, the difference between one moment and the next. And that leaves us with this just totally unsettling question. If our best scientific theories barely have a place for it, and our own minds might just be making it up, does time actually exist on its own when we're not looking? Just let that one sink in. And this, of course, brings us to the next massive piece of the puzzle. You can't talk about perceiving time without talking about the one doing the perceiving, which throws us headfirst into an even deeper, even stranger mystery: consciousness. The mysterious observer sitting right at the center of everything.
Now, we need to be super clear here. We're not talking about intelligence or the brain's ability to calculate things. A supercomputer can do that. We're talking about the raw, subjective feeling of being you, the taste of coffee, the experience of the color red. It's that simple yet completely profound fact that you are. So where does this feeling come from? Well, there are two main competing ideas. The first, and the one you'll hear most in science, is that the brain just creates it. It's a byproduct of all those neurons firing, just like your stomach produces digestion. But there's a second, far more radical idea, that the brain doesn't create consciousness, it receives it. That our brain is more like a radio, tuning into a signal that's already out there, broadcast throughout the universe. And this is where consciousness slams right into the world of physics. It's called the observer effect. See, in the quantum world, a particle doesn't really have a definite location until you measure it. It's just a blurry wave of all its possibilities at once. But the moment you observe it, the second you look, that wave collapses into one single, solid reality. The simple act of looking forces reality to make up its mind. It's wild. This idea gets even crazier when you start messing with time. There's an experiment called the delayed choice experiment, and honestly, it is one of the most mind-bending things in all of science, because it seems to suggest that the past isn't as solid as we think it is. Okay, here's the crucial part. A scientist can let a particle pass a checkpoint, and then, after it's already gone past, decide whether or not to measure the path it took. And get this, the choice they make in the future seems to determine how the particle behaved in the past. It's as if our decision right now reaches back in time and literally changes history.
The implications of this are just staggering. I mean, if the past isn't fixed, if it's just a set of possibilities waiting for a future choice to lock it in, our entire understanding of cause and effect just falls apart. Which leads us to the real question here. What kind of system, what kind of reality are we actually living in?
And this leads us to an idea that used to be pure science fiction but is now being seriously talked about by top physicists: the simulation hypothesis. What if all this weirdness, this reality that seems to depend on an observer, is actually a giant clue about what it's made of?
Let me give you an analogy. Think about a really advanced video game. The game doesn't render the entire world all at once, right? That'd be impossible. It only renders what the player is currently looking at. Well, in this view, those quantum possibilities are like the unrendered parts of the game. Reality only loads, it only becomes real when a conscious observer, the user, interacts with it.
Now, there is another way to think about this. The many worlds theory suggests that reality never actually collapses into one state. Instead, every single possible outcome actually happens, each one branching off to create its own separate, parallel universe. And your consciousness is just experiencing the journey down one single branch of that infinite tree. And this brings us to a truly mind-boggling thought. Just like a particle snaps into existence when we look at it, could it be that our entire universe snapped into existence because some higher-level consciousness decided to run the program? Are we here just because something, somewhere, decided to look?
And this is where all these crazy, cutting-edge scientific ideas start to sound a lot like some of our most ancient spiritual concepts. What if we reimagine the idea of a creator not as a master builder, but as the ultimate programmer, the author of the cosmic code?
In this way of thinking, creation isn't this constant, hands-on process. It's an act of supreme elegance. It's about designing one initial algorithm, the laws of physics, so perfectly that it could unfold all on its own into galaxies, stars, and life. A single line of code that expands into, well, everything.
And if that's the case, then our purpose, our highest calling, kind of changes, doesn't it? Worship isn't just about ritual or praise anymore. It becomes this active, intellectual, spiritual mission. It's the ultimate reverse engineering project, to study the creation from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy and try to understand the mind that wrote the code. This verse from the Quran really captures this idea beautifully. It suggests that the clues to the big truth aren't just hidden away in some old book. They're written into the fabric of the cosmos all around us, and maybe, most importantly, into the fabric of our own consciousness. And that brings us right back to where we started, with this one final powerful thought. What if the greatest act of faith isn't having all the answers? What if the deepest form of reverence, the most profound worship, is to just stand before this incredible mystery, to look at the beauty of the cosmic code, and to never, ever stop asking why? Thanks for exploring these questions with me.